this is your video for measures of spread. I made a mistake on the last one and told you that the median, mode, and range was measures of spread, but that's incorrect. Those are still measures of center, so just keep what's on your paper. All right, measures of spread are called quartiles in the interquartile ranges. So when I think quartile, that looks like quarter or quart, which I know has a base of 4. So quartiles is going to be 4 sections. So I'm going to be defining 4 sections of a data set. All right. Blank are values that divide the data set into 4 equal parts. So like we just said, those are quartiles. It's got that root word, quart. Okay. Each quartile represents 25% of the data. 4 equal parts, 100%, divided by 4 is 25%. So 4 equal parts of the data, so 25% each. It may not always look like 25% on a graph, but it is. Okay? The first quartile, 90% of the time, you'll see us write Q1, quartile 1, is the median. So think back to last video, median is the middle. Okay, so the middle of the lower half of the data. The third quartile, or Q3, is the median or middle of the upper half of the data. The interquartile range, so that's up here. The interquartile range, or because we like to abbreviate things in math, the IQR, interquartile range, is the difference, which we know means to subtract, the difference between Q3 and Q1. So Q3 minus Q1. So notice the word range. We know we're finding difference. And the interquartile is using those Q3 and Q1. So not the range of the whole data. The interquartile range is inside the data. Inner. A blank is a data value that is either much greater or much less than the median, the true median of the data. We call that an outlier. Okay, an outlier. It's way out there. Okay, it's way bigger than the median. Okay, so here's an example. Okay, remember, step 1 is to take our data set and order it least to greatest. All right, so here's my data set. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to order it least to greatest. So looking here, it looks like I start with 2. Next would be 10. Then I don't have an 11, but I have a 12. I have a 13. I have a 14. And a 15. No 16, but I have a 17. I have 2 18s. I have a 20 and a 21. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is find the actual median. I need to split my data in half. So then after that, I can find Q1 and Q3. So I'm going to split it in half, so by finding the median. So I'm going to use Miss Devion's underlining here, because we're going to still need to use these numbers. So, beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end. So my median is 15. I'm going to circle it real big. 15. So my median is 15. Now, after I circle my median, I'm going to box the lower half of data and the upper half of data. That way I section it out. I might even highlight these numbers just to help me differentiate between the 2 sets of data. All right, so I have my lower half of the data, the lower numbers, and my upper half of data, the higher numbers. So to find Q1, if you look up here, it's the median or the middle of the lower half of data. So I need to find the middle of this data set right here. So, here I go. Beginning, end, beginning, end. I'm left with a 12. So Q1 is 12. Okay. Do the same thing up here. Let's find the median of the upper half of data. That's how we find Q3. Beginning, end, beginning, end. I'm left with 18. So Q3 is 18. Q1 is 12. 15 was my median. The interquartile range, if you remember up here, is the difference between Q3 and Q1. So Q3 minus Q1. So that's 18 minus 12, which is 6. The range is the difference between the highest and the lowest. So the highest number of this data set is 21. The lowest number is 2. So 21 minus 2 is 19. So the range is 19. And then outliers, are there any numbers that are way off of the median? Well, 21 is pretty close to 15. 2 is not terribly far. It is a big jump to 10. So you could argue back and forth that 2 is not that far from 15, so it's not an outlier. I'm going to say that it's an outlier because compared here, 15 to 21 is only a difference of 6. 15 down to 2 is a difference of 13. That's over double. So that is a pretty big jump to the next one. So I'm going to say that 2 is an outlier. This is really kind of subjective. All right. Number 1 and 2, we're going to practice these problems finding the measures of spread for the following sets of data. All right, so first things first is to put them in order, least to greatest. So it looks like I start with 14, then I go to 19, then I go to 27, I have 2 28s, I have a 30, and then a 51. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm good. All right, so step 1 is to find the median. So beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end. My median is right here. It's 28. Then I'm going to box my lower half and my upper half, or you can highlight them. Whatever's easier for you to see. You may not always have highlighters though, so. Okay, so Q1 is the middle of the lower half of data. So the middle of this is 19. Q3 is the middle of the upper half of data. The middle of that is 30. The IQR is Q3 minus Q1. So that is 30 minus 19, which is 11. So the IQR is 11. The range is the actual range of the whole data, so the highest minus the lowest. So I have 51 and 14. So 51 minus 14. I borrow. 7 minus 4 is 7. 4 minus 1 is 3. So the range is 37. Are there any outliers? 14 to 28, so I'm looking at the lowest number according to the median. That's 14. 28 to 51, that's 13. That's really not that far. Those are pretty even, so I would say no, there are no outliers. So from here to here is 14, and here to here is 13. Those are pretty dang close. So no outliers. Number 2, same thing. Let's put them in order, least to greatest. So it looks like I have 65. Next, there's no 7s. 8, 1, 2 88s. I have an 89, no 90, but I have 2 91s. I have a 92, a 93, and a 95. Guys, it is very important when you're writing your list that you're able to keep it all on one line. Don't write so big that you'd have to take like these last 3 numbers and drop them down here. It is so easy to make a mistake when you do that, so make sure you give yourself enough room where you can write them all on one line. Okay, so first step is to find the median. So beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end. So I've got 91. 91 is my median. Oh, let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I'm good. All right, Q1. That is the median of the lower half of data. So the yellow section, white section. So I need the middle of this lower half of data. So beginning, end. Ooh, I can't mark those off. So I know the middle is going to be in between these two numbers. Well, halfway between 88 and 88 is 88. Nothing there. If I can't just see that, I would add the two numbers together. That's 176, and then you divide it by 2, because there's two numbers in your data set. 2 won't go into 1, but it goes in 17 8 times. That's 16. And the remainder of 1, bring down your 6. 2 goes into 16 8 times exactly. So there's your 88. Q3, I feel like I'm probably going to run into the same issue here. So beginning, end. It's going to be halfway between these two numbers. You might be able to look at this and say halfway between 92 and 93 is 92.5. If you couldn't, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to find the average of the two numbers. So 92 plus 93. 3 plus 2 is 5. 9 plus 9 is 18. And then I take 185 and I divide it by 2 because there's two numbers. 2 won't go into 1, but it goes into 18 9 times. Exactly. Bring down your 5. 2 goes into 5 2 times. That's 4. When you subtract, you get 1. I need to keep going, so I'm going to add a decimal, take it up, and a 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times exactly. So there's where our 92.5 comes from. The interquartile range is the difference between Q3 and Q1. So Q3 is 92.5. Q1 is 88. Now notice 88 does not have a decimal. Decimals look like periods. We know periods go at the end of a sentence. So 88.0. I'm going to find the difference. 5 minus 0 is 5. Bring down my decimal. I cannot do 2 minus 8, so I'm going to borrow. 12 minus 8 is 4. So the IQR is 4.5. The range of the set of data is the highest minus the lowest. So the highest is 95. The lowest is 65. 90 minus 65 is 30. Are there any outliers? Well, 65 to 91 is a jump of 26. 91 to 95 is only a jump of 4. So I'm going to say that this 65 out here is an outlier. It's way away from the middle. 95 is not way away from 91, but 65 is way away from 91. All right, so this is how you find the measures of spread.